Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rob and this is RH Midwest Comics. In today's video, I've got a major pricing update. And if you have seen my previous videos that I've been doing for the past few months, I've been doing price trend analysis on big books. And I've done 4 of them so far. I think the first one was Amazing Fantasy 15, then I did X-Men 1, then Giant Size X-Men 1, and then I finish off with Hulk 181. And I chose those books because those are the books that people had the most interest in. And I'll expand and do some other books in the future for sure. And we'll do some DC books as well and some independent books like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, things like that. But what I'm doing today is I'm going to do a price trend update on all 4 of those books, all in one video. And I can do that because I've got all the data from my previous videos and I just need to add on the new data, which is what I've done. So the comparison is going to be, how did the books end? How did the prices end at the end of 2022? And what do they look like now that we're a full quarter into 2023? A lot of people had been saying we had hit the floor on comics. And I think we know, that wasn't completely true towards the end of 2022. But what would happen in January? What would happen in February? What would happen in March? And I know we're more than halfway through April. My data is going to take us all the way through the end of March. And I'll give you kind of a hint or a sneak peek at what I'm seeing in April. But hey, without further ado, let's get into it. As you know, I get all my data from GPA, and this is what I'm showing right now on the screen for those that haven't seen it before. I know a lot of you have. And so I get all of it from there, right? They get all their information from eBay, Heritage, Comic Connect, also my comic shop, and I think some other smaller sources as well. They still don't get it from Comic Link, no matter how much I plead with both places. Somehow they can't figure that out, and hopefully that's going to change in the future. But regardless, I'm not going to spend much time on the website here, but just to give you an idea, here, this is the AF15 page. This is what it looks like, right? When you pull up the different grades. And we know the story with all of these books, right? Doesn't matter which key issue you pull, huge spikes and then big corrections. All right, but how does everything look now that we've gotten into, the first quarter of 2023? Well, we'll find out. This is Hulk 181. You can see I just pulled up some random grades here. And you can see, right, big corrections. But as we get down to the end here, a lot of ups and downs. So that being said, now we are going to get into the data of each of the 4 books. First book we're going at is Amazing Fantasy 15. So this trend line you're looking at right now is all the GPA data, and it's the average sale price of all the grades combined. So in any given month, and each of these dots are a given month. It starts back in January of 2020, and it goes up to December of 2022, and then we're going to bring in the 3 new data points for 2023 and see what happened. So all these trends are fairly similar, right? Big increase, skyrocketing, through 2021, 2022, and then halfway through 2022, it starts correcting. So we know at the end of 2022, that's where we left off with the trend continuing downward. What happened in January for Amazing Fantasy 15, which we know, right, is the grail of the Silver Age. First appearance of Spider-Man, Peter Parker. January came in, kind of a big drop, 9%. So AF15 continuing to drop. And remember, this is an average sale price of all grades combined. And I only included data for grades that sold in either January, February, March. So as long as that grade had a sale in January, February, March, I included that grade all the way back to January of 2020. Okay? Just to make sure it's apples to apples. And if there was not a sale in a particular month of that exact grade, I carried over the previous sale because let's face it, right? The the value of a book is only as good as its previous sale for the most part. And that's how we did this data here. So I was very consistent with that. So at least, again, right, we're comparing apples to apples. So January, big drop, 9%. What happened in February? Well, we're going to call it even. All right. And then March, what happened there? Slight increase, a little bit less than 1%. But regardless, you can see big change in January, and then it flattened out in February and March. But overall, a drop of 9% for the year so far in 2023 compared to the end of 2022. Remember, that's what I'm comparing it against. Okay? So in my mind, the book continues to drop. February and March seem to be stabilizing. Still have to see what happens in April. We need many months of data in order to show a trend, right? So that's AF15. Let's move on to XMen number 1. So same thing, bigger jump on XMen 1 and bigger correction. Again, right, this data goes all the way up to the end of 2022 in December. And you see where it ended off with, many, many months of correction. But what happened for the first month of 2023? Well, January, another drop, dropping 4% from December. February, dropped again, only 3%, but still, steady drop here. And then March, very slight drop, a little bit more than 1%. But month after month after month, this book continues to drop. In general, all grades. Overall, a drop of 7% for the year. So the behavior is a little bit different than AF15, right? Where XMen 1, we see drops in all 3 months. Whereas AF15, we saw a big drop in January, and then it flattened out for February and March. But the end result's kind of the same, right? Both dropped by 7% for XMen and 9% for AF15. So I call the result pretty similar. All right, let's move on to our 2 Bronze Age books. The first one we're going to do is Giant Size XMen 1. So same kind of trend, you guys, all the way up to the end of 2022, where we see the end point right here on the right-hand side. But look how big this jumped up in, March, April, May. Just massive increases. And then big drop, end of the year. What would happen come January as we entered 2023? Small drop, 2%, just like the other books. Every book we've looked at so far has dropped in January. What happened in February? Very, very slight drop. I'm calling it even. I think it was 0.005% of a drop. Nonetheless, we'll call it even, no problem. And then March, another slight drop of 2%. So overall for the year, down 4%. My conclusion here is that Giant Size XMen 1 is continuing to drop in general in all grades, albeit the changes are less than what they have been. When you look, all the way the second half of 2022, the drops were much bigger. So do I know that this is going to keep flattening out? Nope. I don't know that. Nobody knows that. But all we can say now is first quarter of 2023, Giant Size continues to drop. All right, final book. Hulk 181, most people's favorite out there, first appearance of Wolverine. So when you look at this trend, not as big of a correction as the other books, right? Hulk 181 in general maintained its value. This big jump here that you see towards the end of 22 is because there was a really big sale on a 9.8, and because the value of a 9.8 is so much higher than even a 9.6, but especially all the lower grades, it sometimes makes the data look a little volatile. But then come November, there was a big sale again in a 9.8, but much less than the previous one, so it kind of got it back on track. So anyway, Hulk 181 did start its correction, just not as strong as the other ones that we've looked at. So that ended 2022. What happened in January for Hulk 181? Big drop, 13%. So the biggest drop of any of the books that we've looked at so far. So the only difference here, with Hulk 181 is you're going to see that something different happens in February and March compared to the other books. So February hits and it actually goes up 2%. And then March hits and it goes back up 5 more percent. So my conclusion there is that January maybe was just too big of a correction and we see some recovery in February and March. But overall, the book still drops 7%. So the end result for Hulk 181, very similar to the other 3 books. And when we look at all of them together, hey, the story's the same, right? 9%, 7%, 4%, 7%. And if I'm giving you a sneak peek into April, and I know I'm not showing the April data here, but I've looked at all the sales data, and I know we've still got a week and a half to go in April, and at least in terms of when I did this study. It's a mixed bag for sure. There are some sales that are higher than the previous sale, and there are some sales that are lower than the previous sale. But so far, 2.5 weeks in, there are more sales that I've seen for all 4 of these books that are lower than the previous sale. All right, not by a lot, but I am still seeing small decreases. We'll see what happens. You know, we've still got a little bit left in the month. So after April is done, I'll put another update together and we'll see how these books do. And we'll be able to answer that question. Have we hit the floor or not? I still think we're a few months out from really seeing a trend, right? If we're seeing an increasing trend, we've got to see a trend for, 3, 5, 7 months in a row on multiple books, not just one book. Okay, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, I'm also going to start including other individual books so we can see how, more than just these 4 big boys are doing, right? And we'll get into some DC books as well. But I think I'm going to venture out and do like Journey to Mystery 83, ASM 129, right? The first Punisher. Maybe we'll do Hulk #1, and then we'll get into some DC books. But that's it. Comment. Let me know what you think, what your thoughts are. And until next time, have a great day.